Welcome everyone. This is the first video in a series of 4 that I'm going to be releasing all about the making of Little Marauder Productions' first special event, Jeremy's Socks. This is a limited run of 100 hand-knit miniature socks modeled after the sock that I put on the front of Jeremy Clyde's Bottom Drawer Sessions album series. The first of those albums was released 10 years ago, back in October of 2014. Oh, what another world it was. Throughout these videos, I'm going to be sharing memories of the design process. I'll be sharing some early concept sketches. I will be talking about going out on the road with Jeremy and with Chad and the people I met along the way. And I'll probably be pointing out a few things that might make you want to pull out your CDs for a closer look. Since it's going to be a challenge to knit and hit a bunch of talking points at the same time, I'm going to get the camera up close and personal on my stitch work, and I will record the bulk of the audio as a voiceover. That will also allow me to speed up the video so y'all don't have to bear with me as I knit the socks. It does take some time. Having said that, now's the time to say goodbye to this and say hello to these. Even if you're just a little familiar with knitting needles, you can tell that one of these tools isn't quite right. That's right, I am using a crochet hook, and a vintage one at that. I'm using it to create a nice braided edge on that top of the cuff. There are a lot of options for casting on in knitting, which is when you create those first stitches out of nothing. And all of these casting on methods have strengths and weaknesses. I opted for something a little bit decorative because no one's wearing these socks. When Jeremy and I first began talking about the Bottom Drawer Sessions in 2014, he already had a pretty complete idea in his mind. Now, how the visual design would really support the project was a little bit more vague. Given the name Bottom Drawer Sessions, it wasn't hard to figure that I'd be incorporating a dresser. Jeremy had a dresser that had belonged to his dad, Tommy Clyde, and that was the bottom drawer that Jeremy associated with these songs and with the Bottom Drawer Sessions. Here's a really early sketch that I did of a concept that didn't end up working out. Jeremy knew that he had enough music for 7 albums. None of these albums on their own would be greatest hits. Every track would be on an album with space to breathe, and every album would have space to progress to the next one. With 7 albums, Jeremy decided that the visible color spectrum progressing from red to violet, memorized by school children all over with the help of the mnemonic device Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, was the visual element that he wanted to use to progress the albums from number 1 through to the end. Around the same time, Jeremy had striped show socks, which had caught some attention among fans. With the dresser imagery already in mind, it made sense for me to tuck a similar striped sock into the drawer. And I used the stripes on that sock to foreshadow the albums still to come. Oh, I love a little gem, a little Easter egg like that, hidden in plain sight. Now, over 10 years later, it's great to be able to revisit the songs and the albums. And as I work each stripe of these socks, I'll be sharing something from every album. Since these socks are worked from the top down, we're going to be starting with the violet stripe, which is bottom drawer number 7. The song I've picked to highlight from this album is Tell You Something Else. This is a song that Jeremy had performed on a couple tours before it ended up in the bottom drawer sessions. I don't know if I can say it's the best example of how masterful David M. Pierce is with words, but it's not a bad example. There's something so pleasing to me about the cadence of the words, the ebbing and flowing as we hear these 4 really familiar, really human, really relatable strains of one side of a bickering interaction.
Tell you something else while we're on the subject. There's something you seem to be forgetting. She asked me to show her how to reggae. What's so wrong with that? What was I supposed to say? So sorry. On my wedding day, took this oath to never dance with anyone but my beloved wife, 'cause otherwise she'll slay me. Tell you something else while we're on the subject. I didn't want to go in the first place. You just had to see who What's-Her-Face had in tow. And if the scars from our latest Operation show, I know we're liberated these days. Thrown our bras away doesn't mean we have to leave our buttons open all the way down to and including the navel. Tell you something else while we're on the subject. Will you kindly lay off my driving? I don't talk about yours, not a lot to say anyway. All I had was 3 small beers. Okay, the wine with dinner. Okay, some brandy in the bar. Doesn't mean the car was weaving back and forth, careering all over the highway. Tell you something else while we're on the subject. I'm sick of those boring old parties. I'm gonna be a hermit, grow a beard, eat nettle stew, sleep on spikes. So you do what you like, usually do. Oh, forgot to say that gay couple across the way asked us for a drink. So what do you think about Friday?
So when it came time to design Bottom Drawer Sessions number 6, it was kind of clear that the blue color for number 5 was a little too dark. So we had to scramble a little, and we picked new colors for indigo and violet just to make sure that those last 3 albums were more visually distinct, even though at that point we were already a little bit limited by the fact that our blue was kind of dark. Jeremy wrote songs with several other people, and I had the pleasure of meeting 2 of them, Chad Stewart, of course, and Rick Jones. Rick had an ease and an authenticity about him, as well as an urge to really bring out the same ease and authenticity in others. He is very missed. This song, which he wrote the words for, is Hope to Hell, and it is the only one which required the lyrics to lay out across 2 pages in the lyric booklet, across the entire 9 albums. Only one. Rick Jones, the centerfold. He would appreciate that.
God above, if there is one, save my soul. If I've got one, God above. If there is one, save my soul. If I've got one. Lying here looking at my motel walls, hoping against hope that somebody calls. Wasn't supposed to turn out this way. Should have thought about that yesterday. There ain't no guardian angel above me. Hope to hell, Jesus loves me. Hope to hell, Jesus loves me. Thinking back, guess I should have seen the signs. She never did like to drive between the lines. Seemed like a good idea at the time. I just can't trust this heart of mine. I go wherever chance will send me. Hope to hell, Jesus loves me. Hope to hell, Jesus loves me. It's not like me to be praying for a guiding light. I'm the one who's dancing, raising hell all night. I'm stuck here staring, wondering what to do. God above, if there is one, save my soul. If I've got one, God above. If there is one, save my soul. If I've got one. I know deep down the lady won't show. One part's hoping, but it's starting to slow. She gets the goodies, I get the heat on. Need all weather tires before it snows. I guess shame is what she left me. Hope to hell, Jesus loves me. Hope to hell, Jesus loves me. Jesus loves me, hope to hell, Jesus loves me. It's not like me to be praying for a guiding light. I'm the one who's dancing, raising hell all night. And I'm stuck here staring, wondering what to do. God above, if there is one, save my soul. If I've got one, God above. If there is one, save my soul. If I've got one. Things go bad when you're doing wrong. Never made it to the border like they do in songs. She took the car, I took the blame. Wondering if she ever even knew my name. When they get me, where they gonna shove me? Hope to hell, Jesus loves me. Hope to hell, Jesus loves me. Hope to hell, Jesus loves me. Hope to hell, Jesus loves me.
Next we are on to blue. This blue is a little brighter than the blue of the Bottom Drawer Sessions number 5 album, but if you paid attention, you'll understand and maybe applaud me for learning from the past. So I have some nice contrast between all of these 3 colors. This is a song which Chad and Jeremy played together. It was also the title track on the very first album I did design work on. I took a low quality scan of a degraded mimeograph of a design from Dean Torrance of Jan and Dean, and I restored it and I enlarged it. It was a big, big piece of work. So big that we could actually print it out on a 2-foot by 3-foot banner by the time it was done. So Rien Ne Va Plus feels very foundational to my experience of working with Chad and Jeremy. If you're ever fortunate enough to find yourself near a roulette wheel in the Côte d'Azur. You may hear this phrase, Rien ne va plus. It translates to nothing goes no longer. See, French is interesting when it comes to negatives, and you'll have to trust me on that if you don't know French. It signals in the game of roulette that betting has to stop. The ball is about to drop from its track and start skipping around the roulette wheel. Fortune lands where it will. Rien ne va plus marks the time when you have to let go of the fact you cannot control everything. And I find such beauty in that single sentiment. So that's really why I like the song. Everything else is just history.
Never met anyone who didn't enjoy a sure thing. I never met anyone who didn't like a fairy tale. I bet they can't fail a horse that's always winning. Well, folks, you can bet the store on this. As long as one small star always shines, some fool somewhere will be wasting his time on another sad song about another lost love. So put your money down, folks, the game has just begun. Rien ne va plus, all is done. Never met anyone who didn't enjoy a sure thing. I never met anyone who didn't like a fairy tale. I bet they can't fail a wheel that's always spinning. Well, folks, you can bet the farm on this, that another fool is sitting in the gloom, singing to the walls in an all too empty room of the love that he has lost and the loneliness he's found. Now the dice are tossed, folks, the wheel of fortune spun. Rien ne va plus, all is done.
Green. Bottom Drawer Sessions, number 4. This is the album where my memories feel the most vague, so I had trouble picking between two songs. Where Are You Tonight, My Love is just a beautiful song, which Jeremy played with Emily the cellist while I still regularly toured with him. But I'm going to tell you about the first time I ever heard Normal again instead. In the summer of 2016, before Chad's retirement, I labored on the photo book and all of the visual designs for the 3 CD set, All Good Things. On the second CD of that magnum opus was Normal again, in its full 1984 synth-forward glory, complete with jazz flute and some truly inspired scatting from Mr. Jeremy Clyde. Never wanna feel normal again. If you haven't heard it, I'm sorry. I don't know where you can find it. I don't. I should. Ask someone else. You know other people to ask. It's a shame. It's so good. Go to Jeremy's Facebook and ask. Ask how you can find it. I don't. It's Jeremy's ringtone on my phone. The 1984 version. Of course, what you're going to hear now is not from 1984, so it's not quite the same. But that's okay. Go and ask. Go and ask where you can hear it. It's worth it.
Sleep, toss and turn however late it gets, and I can't eat, living on coffee and cigarettes, smiling at strangers, strolling in the rain, never wanna feel normal again, never wanna feel normal again. I can't work, somehow can't seem to concentrate, and I can't think, make a date and get there 2 hours late, in a permanent daze, pleasantly insane, never want to feel normal again, never want to feel normal. Is it insurable? It's all becoming darn right unendurable. Yes, it is. Don't seem to make any sense at all, and I can't read, wind up staring at the wall. Funny how it hurts, but it isn't really pain. Never want to feel normal again, never want to feel normal again. Nothing I really want to do, and I can't stay. If I do, I think of you. Amazing how love could mess up a man's brain. Never want to feel normal again. Never want to feel normal again. Never want to feel normal again. Never want to feel normal again.
Continuing on to bottom drawer number 3, the Yellow Album. This was another difficult decision, but I have a long history of dance training, and I'm really drawn to this mambo-like rhythm that is going on in this song. It's another Clyde Jones pairing, and I was able to record an informal set featuring this song in 2015, sitting around Rick Jones's dining room table. That video has been on Jeremy's YouTube for a while, and I'll make sure to drop a link so you can enjoy that too. The battery on my camera died while I was in the middle of this stripe, so I'm going to cut in some never-before-seen footage of a sound check from Jeremy Clyde's One Night Stand concert tour. This was on September 28th, 2014, and it was the very first Bottom Drawer Sessions concert and featured Rick Jones and Valerie Neal. I hope you enjoy that. It's a little impromptu, but why not?
Baby, please hold me tight. Baby, please hold me tight. You've been putting me off for so long, but baby, how can it be wrong when it feels so right tonight? When it feels so right tonight. Baby, I'm down on my knees. Baby, I'm begging you please. I know you're tired of being lonely, even if it's one night only. It feels so right tonight. It feels so right tonight. Too late now to go home to mother and ask her what to do. It's too late now to telephone a friend, so I guess that means it's up to me and you. Too late now to go home to mother and ask her what to do. It's too late now to telephone a friend, so I guess that means it's up to me and you. Baby, please hold me tight. Baby, please hold me tight. Listen, baby, they're playing our song, so tell me, how can it be wrong when it feels so right tonight? When it feels so right tonight. 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 When it feels... No, I'll just have to write it out bigger. Once I thought I grew wise with age, truth of things would be easier to gauge. I'd save the world over myself, leave the book of knowledge up on the shelf. But nowadays, it's all too much for me. It's all too much for me. Think I'll give me something cool to drink, see what's on TV. Think I'll get me something cool to drink, see what's on TV.
Oh, we've made it to the Orange album, Bottom Drawer number 2. As the designer, number 2 was a challenge. I mean, I had everything in place from Bottom Drawer number 1. And in a lot of ways, I was really swapping out elements But at the same time, I also improved my graphic design skills in the year since I had worked on Bottom Drawer Sessions #1. So when I opened those files up, I had that same feeling you get when you find an old school paper and reread it years later. Like that, how could I have thought that this was how to do things feeling. So part of doing the work on Bottom Drawer #2 involved a lot of organizational work and maybe even some rebuilding of Bottom Drawer Sessions #1. Another thing to note is that all of the handwriting on these albums is my own handwriting. Well, okay, it's a version of my handwriting that I figured is a lot easier to read. I was always concerned about my handwriting staying consistent with the look of Bottom Drawer Sessions #1. And for Bottom Drawer Sessions #2, I had exactly 0 practice staying consistent with Bottom Drawer #1. For this album, I'm highlighting the song B-Movie. I think that some of Jeremy's fondness for me was accelerated by the fact that I know how to choose a nice red wine and the fact that I enjoy old movies. It's hard for me to understand how a whole era of art could be disregarded because it's missing color. I don't know. Black and white movies and TV can be just as timeless as movies and TV that are in Technicolor. I mean, this could become a whole rant, but I will stop myself.
I wanna be in a B-movie where everything is black and white, where every doorman knows my name, every cabbie knows my game. White tuxedo and a gold lucky charm, B-movie heroine hanging on my arm. I wanna be in a B-movie, gonna try some dreams for a change. Tug the brim of my fedora down, take a little stroll to the ritzy side of town. Wise money said I'd be safer laying low. I say, what the hell? Who's running the show? I wanna be in a B-movie. Want the boys to play September song, 'cause she and me are into heavy romancing. Want the boys to play all night long till she and me are the only ones still dancing, dancing. It's nice and safe in there, where wisecracks come out right on cue, where guys get killed but never you. One look tells you the hero from the heel, and it all comes out okay in the very last reel. I wanna be in a B-movie. I wanna be in a B-movie.
bottom drawer number 1. We have made it to that red stripe. There were 3 songs that I might have picked for bottom drawer 1, but I had to go with Dragon Wanted. If I could give the protagonist here an ounce of advice, I would probably say, go and find yourself a lady who does not require a dragon slaying. During my first tour with Chad and Jeremy, this is a song that Jeremy played in his set. At the end of the song, Jeremy would always step backwards, further and further away from the mic. He was simulating that fade out that you hear on the track. I mean, I can spot good mic work, and that was good mic work. Microphones are an instrument in their own right, and there are a lot of skills you can learn when it comes to mics.
The lady has been wined. The lady has been dined. Showered her with flowers of the most exotic kind. Still no welcome at her door. Got an idea that has worked before when men were bold in olden days of yore. All I got to do is slay me a dragon and haul it in a wagon into town. Smuggle it up in the elevator and at her feet lay it down. So does anybody happen to know some secret spot where the dragons go? Did anybody happen to hear where all the dragons are meeting this year? Does anybody happen to know some secret spot where the dragons go? Did anybody happen to hear where all the dragons are meeting this year? But the lady has been blind. The lady's been unkind to hothouse blooms and French perfumes. She pays no mind. So does anybody happen to know one lonely dragon whose fire is low? Did anybody happen to read of one old fella who's off his feed? 'Cause Dragon Wanted, new or used, I don't mind a dent or two, as long as it has some fire left to start the barbecue. So, does anybody happen to know some secret spot where the dragons go? Did anybody happen to hear where all the dragons are meeting this year? Does anybody happen to know some secret spot where the dragons go? Did anybody happen to hear where all the dragons are meeting this year? Anybody happen to know? Anybody happen to hear? Anybody happen to know?
Now, as I work on the toe, I'm going to share some additional tidbits about these designs. All of the drawers that are pictured on the cover of those booklets are filled with trinkets that Jeremy has picked up over the years. For the first few albums, I had him send me a voiceover with stories about the significant items in each drawer. But as life changed for both of us, it got a lot more difficult to make that happen. I guess it's never too late to start them up again. What do you say, Jeremy? When Jeremy decided to add 2 more albums to the 7 that were planned in 2014, We had to decide what colors made sense. We had exhausted the spectrum. So Jeremy and I did come to a consensus pretty quickly that we would go with a gray album and then a white album. When we made the decision to follow an existing trend and wrap things up with a white album, I had a very intuitive sense that something about the dresser needed to change for number 9. And I told Jeremy that I was going to do something different. And for the first time since bottom drawer number 1, I printed out a physical mock-up as soon as I had something I was happy with. And I was lucky enough to show it to Jeremy over dinner one night. I think that after I showed him the mock-up, all of the other design decisions were made for that album in 10 minutes or less. Those creative moments where it feels like a dam breaks and all of the other things come rushing together is a really beautiful thing. And that moment, along with so many other moments, are ones that I treasure and hold so close to my heart. So I would like to really take a moment to thank Jeremy. Thank you, Jeremy, so much for allowing me to contribute to this really beautiful project. And congratulations, we did it. Whew, now look at that sock. Okay, yeah, it's a tube. It's a tube with a toe. But this is only part 1. Managing all of the colors for these socks is made easier because they're decorative. The whole world may need feet for something, but these socks do not. So I'm taking this rainbow mohawk finger puppet looking thing, and I'm tying up all of those loose ends and placing a little marker so I am ready to go for step 2. I really hope that you've enjoyed this, and I hope you'll follow along with me on the next 3 steps to making Jeremy's socks. Thanks, and have a great day.